Hey guys, quick video today. I wanted to do an unboxing before I do a real video of the Zhiyun Crane. Now, I'm not sure if that's exactly how you actually pronounce it, but that's what I'm going to call it. Now, I decided to get this. We currently use the Ronin as our stabilizer. In the past, we've used a glide cam. We've used some other things as well. We've also used the Osmo, which is, kind of along the same lines. But my main reason for getting this, we did switch over to at least one of our cameras from the Canons into the Sony, so it's lighter and it didn't necessarily need the Ronin. So part of it is, if I don't need something like the Ronin that's bigger in two hands, then why use it? Why have it? Like I said, it's bigger, it takes up more space. I'm hoping that this will kind of fill the void. Our A7S II is what is always on our Ronin. Our A7S II is what is always on our Ronin currently. So, if this is capable of holding it, which I believe it is, then that will kind of take away our need for the Ronin. We'll probably sell it or something. Not that the Ronin is bad, we absolutely love it. I mean, it's been perfect. But in an effort to always stay as small and, on a wedding day, as quick as possible, being able to swap cameras and systems and whatnot, you're always looking for something better. So I don't actually have any experience with this. I've never used one. I've watched a ton of videos and I have talked to friends and, acquaintances who do use this. I have heard nothing but great things. My initial hesitation was that it wouldn't be able to hold my combo that I use. The Sony A7S II is of course much lighter. It is mirrorless than the Canon, the Canon series of DSLRs. However, it still was pushing it. Originally, I believe this was made for 1,200 grams. And the Sony A7S II, which is what we use, and on the gimbal, we typically use the Zeiss 16-35 Sony lens. The E-mount, and that was, I believe, around 1,300 grams, or maybe it's 1,200, a little over 1,200. So that was already pushing it. And then, we use everything with a Manfrotto quick release system. So, we need to add that on too. I'm not at the point where I want to dedicate the A7S II entirely to, a gimbal. So that's kind of my reasoning for that. And that put us around 1,400 grams. So for a while, I was looking for something else, and then Zhiyun, or whoever makes this, I believe it's Zhiyun, they actually came out with a firmware update, I believe, that increases the weight limit to 1,800 grams. So we should be safely within that limit. That's what made me pull the trigger. The other thing, and I'll tell you this now, check Amazon. I was hesitant to get this because of the weight thing. And then I was reading into the increase and still trying to figure out if I did want to do it or not. And Amazon had one of their flash sales or lightning deals, I believe is what they're called. And this went from $650 through Zhiyun on Amazon down to like $460 or $450, something like that. So it was like a good $150 to $200 off. And that sold out in like 5 minutes. But I've seen that deal pop up a couple times since then. Of course, right now is Black Friday, Cyber Monday kind of weekend, so I'm sure it's tied in with that. But definitely check that out if you can get this for cheaper. I'm assuming it is going to be worth it. So I've not opened this yet, and I'm not going to do any balancing or anything like that in this video. I'm going to save that for another video where I can kind of give my full thoughts and go over, some tests that I've done. And how I think it compares to the Ronin M and other things that I've used. So we literally just got this today. This was, like I said, through Amazon. I'll link it below, the package that I bought or whatever. It wasn't really a package, but it did come with a couple extra things, I think. This is a real first look at this. So this is kind of nice. I mean, honestly, I travel with the Ronin. I don't treat it very well. I do break it down when we actually travel, but I don't put it in a case or a box or anything like that. It just sits in a backpack or something. When we're going to a wedding just from our house or our office or whatnot, it's just thrown in the back of the car. Obviously, we do it carefully, but there's no protection. The Ronin M didn't come with a case, and the cases that I found were very expensive. It was like $350, and I didn't want to do that. So this comes with a case. I mean, this is kind of like a Pelican case. I can already tell you it's not as sturdy as a Pelican case, but still to have a case just so you don't get those little dings and scratches, or I don't know if there's any wires. I don't think there are any exposed wires, but on the Ronin there are a few. I'm always worried about those getting caught. Actually, it looks like maybe this is the bottom. So I'm gonna go ahead and open this. So it's got the standard padding or whatnot in here. All right. So this is one of the things, like I said, I don't really know if this just comes with everything or if it was just this Amazon kit that I'll link to. This is like I don't know if it's Bluetooth or however it works, but it's like a wireless remote. The Ronin M, and I believe the Ronin had something similar where you could have, somebody flying the Ronin and somebody worrying about which direction the camera and the gimbal was. It looked a lot like the DJI drone controllers, similar to that. So this, I never used that with the Ronin. I don't have really big plans of using that with this. But, if you do have a 2-operator setup, I guess this could be useful. Or with something like this, you could also mount it on a tripod, run another camera and operate this remotely. If you did want to have the ability to kind of pan or tilt, I would imagine is the 2 limitations on that. But certainly nice to have, I guess. All right, so these are the instructions. I'm going to get into this in a minute as part of my initial thoughts before I get into balancing it. This is some white gloves. Not really sure why. A lens cloth. Cleaning kit, that's what it says. This, I believe, is like a lens brush. That's just kind of one of those junky things that a bunch of camera kits come with, but I guess you can never have too many cleaning cloths. I'm gonna put this down there, or brushes. All right, so now this is the real stuff. This, I believe, is probably to help hold a lens in case it's pretty front heavy, and then the screws to screw everything in. So let's see how we can get this. All right, so of course I'm not turning this on, nor am I putting the batteries in, but I will at least just put it together. So this just screws on. The battery, I believe, sits right in here, or 2 batteries or whatever. Now, a couple things to note. On the bottom, there is a thread. It looks like it would take, a normal tripod mount, same as the bottom of the camera. So you could put a quick release plate, or one thing that I actually want to do, one of my main reasons for switching, with the Ronin, you had to carry around that stand. It was the biggest downfall of the Ronin, or in my case, the Ronin M, was that you couldn't just put it down. And that really hindered being able to switch back and forth quickly, especially for a wedding. That's very important. And so this you can get, I know Manfrotto makes one. I'm sure there's tons of knockoffs. A little thing that's basically a mini tripod sits on the bottom. And that way, when you're not using this camera and you want to switch over to a monopod, with another camera, you can just set this on a table or on the floor with that tripod bottom. So that's something that I do plan on getting at some point. I just haven't done so yet. So just to finish up what's in here, this is 2 batteries, and this is 2 more batteries. So you get 4 batteries. I think this probably takes 2 at a time. And then this is a charger, and it's a cord for probably updating the firmware, which I do believe I need to do, or I'm at least going to check. I'm gonna go ahead and put this down for now. So first impressions on this, it seems very well built. This is not heavy, but it's definitely not light. It's not cheap. This is all, at least everything I can feel, is metal. I don't know what kind of metal, but yeah, like I said, this thing is definitely feels sturdy. That was one of the things that I was worried about, and something that I definitely looked into before purchasing. So just a quick overview. This is a joystick similar to this, obviously not wireless. So that's going to allow me to do things like panning left and right, tilting up and down. My guess is that is everything. And then, over here you have your on and off button. And let's see. I'm not sure what this switch is for yet. This might be, I don't know if we'll figure out at some point when we do an actual review. But yeah, first impressions, definitely very well built. This is where your camera sits. It will sit like this. It does seem it's a little bigger than I thought it was going to be. Definitely not big by any means. I mean, especially compared to coming from the Ronin, and especially for a wedding, you want to be as quick, as minimal, as unobtrusive as possible. And the Ronin, let's face it, it's a big tool. It's intimidating. And I think you need to work to kind of alleviate some of the stress that the Ronin can bring with maybe a bride and groom or people who just aren't used to being on camera, which, let's face it, is most people. So I am excited to have something smaller, something that's less obtrusive, less in the way, and just less intimidating in general. So that is kind of my overall thoughts. So far, this is really heavy here and here. Of course, right now it's spinning around because it is not locked and there's no camera on it. Excited to play around with this. I'm going to get into the instructions when I do the balance. I'm going to do it for the first time on camera. I've heard it can be a little bit difficult, but the Ronin was also kind of difficult, so I imagine I'll be able to figure that out. But yeah, overall, very impressed. I'm glad it comes with the case. I think the price is right. From what I've read, yes, you're buying a kind of a Chinese knockoff. I mean, it's not a knockoff of anything specific. So you do sacrifice a few things with that. You're not guaranteed to get maybe the best customer service. But in the grand scheme of things, DJI was pretty much known for having terrible customer service. And most people had no problem dropping, $1,000 to $1,500 for their systems. This one, like I said, I got it for like $460, I believe, on an Amazon Lightning deal. And I've been keeping my eye out for it for a while. And generally, I think it's $600 to $700, depending on where you buy it from. And last thing to note, you can buy it from a few USA dealers or representatives. So you do get a little bit more warranty, or you actually have a contact number with them. But like I said, from what I've heard, nothing but glowing reviews for this. I'm excited to test it, kind of side by side with my knowledge of using the Ronin and how it compares to that, and if it is a usable replacement, and of course testing if it is usable with the Sony a7S II and 16 to 35, as well as a quick release plate. So I'm going to go charge batteries, I'm going to update the firmware, get everything ready, and then I'll be back in a few days, hopefully, with a video on balancing it and first impressions of actually using it and kind of how it works in the real world. So if you like this video, or if you're excited about hearing more about the Zhiyun Crane or other wedding cinema related things, as well as travel videos and some other videos we put up, I would love to have you subscribe and follow along as we post those videos in the days to come. Thanks.